Hello and welcome to Jennifer Knatters. My name is Jennifer and this is my knitting and nattering video podcast. I am accompanied by a podcast co-host. That's Milo. He mostly snores gently. This is episode 91. Today is, should have looked that up first, the 9th of September 2024. And I don't have a lot. I don't have any finished objects. I've been going a long time between, I've been going a long time between podcasts recently for what turns out to be probably health reasons. And my brain just melted out my ears. I don't have any finished objects this time. I do have a bunch of works in progress that I've been working on that I thought I could show you. Because of the way I've been so spaced out in my podcast recording, I've wound up having a bunch of things finished every time and not really talking that much about all my WIPs. So I thought maybe we could cover some of the WIPs. I was actually telling my husband last night that I feel better. I think I'm starting to feel better, but also that it could just be I didn't feel like I had a cold. Today I feel like I'm starting to get a cold. I've got like that kind of full feeling in my sinuses and a little bit at the back of my throat. Yeah, let's do some WIPs. I apologize for the lighting. I know last time the light was right down on top of my head. It is a really dreary, dull, windy, cold day. My husband took our youngest to school this morning and he said it was 6 degrees, feels like -2. And I was like, is that you or is that your weather app? And he said, no, that's the weather app, that the wind is really cold and bitey. If at various points you can hear the wind outside, such is the nature of things. If the light's not great, such is the nature of things. If I wait for everything to be perfect, then I just don't record. So yeah, we're going with what we have. Let's see. Oop, just dropped. That isn't even what I wanted to pick up. Stay. I have some almost finished objects, which are some little tiny pumpkins that just need their stems. This is the same pattern. This is in some fingering. This is in some, I think, DK. So they're just little pumpkins. They need stems and then they'll be done. I was making this one and then I was getting pain in my wrist. Why are you sticking out? The ends are woven in on this. I finished this years ago, but I haven't, I guess, trimmed them. I think they're woven in. Anyway, I was getting pains down the inside of my wrist, so I switched to doing bigger gauge. Didn't help all that much, but I've been trying to be gentle and it seems to have eased off. Okay, so pumpkins, Mini Mochi Land. I can't remember the name of the designer. I don't have any notes because I don't have anything finished and I've only been writing things down when I finish them because it's been so long between podcasts that if I wrote down WIPs, like by the time I get to it, they're done. Like every time I tried to podcast, if I wrote down what I currently had WIPs, I don't podcast and then later they're finished objects. Another little thing I've been working on that's almost finished is the most recent Mystery Knit Along, Mystery Gnome Along with Sarah Shira of Imagine Landscapes. And that is the Something to Write Home About, Someone to Write Home About, I don't remember. And I have finished the hat. It's completely done. It's not, shouldn't be spoilers anymore. So this one's written for Self-Striping Yarn. This is some West Yorkshire spinners. I think the color is something like Blue Lagoon. It's from, I believe, their Cocktails range. I haven't measured the hat, but I think it's like a foot long. It's a really big hat. And then in this cobalt blue, I'm doing the body. So it's not quite the same blue, a little bit darker. And I think that'll look nice. And this is just the start of the bottom. I've got my gnome stitch marker, which which is from Chapel Woods Crafts. So yeah, I'm working on that, but I kind of set it aside when my hand, like I haven't been working on it when my hand was hurting because smaller needles. I just figured it'd be better if I wasn't. We'll add that up there. Hopefully it doesn't make noise. Doot, 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 doot. Socks, doot, doot. Pullovers. I'm just going to fly through this. This is going to be like the shortest episode, touch wood, that I've ever recorded. Another one I'm working on, I mentioned last time, is my Nordic Knoll pullover. This is for Anayuti Knits, and I have 2 finished sleeves. The body's rolling up a lot, but I think I actually have the right length in the body as well. I'm knitting this in King Cole Anti-Tickle 100% wool blend DK in the brightest, like most Crayola green, Crayola red, Crayola white, like just basic colors. And this is a white. It's not an off-white or cream or a natural white. It is very much a bleached white, which tends to be what looks good with my skin. I don't look good in any kind of off-white. So yeah, this is almost done. I'm thinking about, for this one, instead of doing I haven't done what I'm wearing. Instead of doing the ribbing at the hem, which is what the pattern calls for, Anina said I could do a folded hem. I hear footsteps. Just a small interruption. I think I was saying that I'm considering doing a folded over hem, folded under hem really, for the bottom of this. And I have this green fingering weight. It's a very different green, but you're not supposed to see it anyway. So yeah, to do the folded under hem with, or I might just go with ribbing, or I might try the folded hem, hate it, and rip it out and go with ribbing. So who can tell? Not I. It's just a project bag I made. They're all cactuses. And then I made that to be a very large sweater project bag, blanket bag. Another one I'm working on, actually I don't have any drop stitches here. This is a yoke for a friend. I don't remember who the design is. It's something about tulips. And it's got the green and the brown for the yoke, and then it's darker gray for the body. Well, not gray, darker brownish gray. These are all local Scottish yarns, small holders, having their own sheep fleeces spun, and some of them dyed. The yellow and green are dyed. I think the lighter brown and the darker gray brown are both naturals. I'm knitting this from a friend with yarn she picked out and bought. So hopefully it's coming up. I have pattern, or I have gauge, and it's actually the same gauge as my Christmas jumper, which off the top of my head I want to say 22 stitches, but I think that's not actually what it is. But it's a lot bigger than I think it should be, because this is supposed to be 42 inches, and I can put it on, and my full bust is more than 42 inches. I think my full bust is 52 inches. But my friend I'm knitting, and that was supposed to be like 42 inches, was supposed to be a tiny bit of positive ease. So I had my friend try it on. I don't think I've particularly worked on it since I saw her, but I mean, I've added a little to the sleeve. I had her try it on and she says she's okay with the fit. Like it's going to be an oversized sweatshirty fit, but it's definitely coming out bigger than than I thought it would. Maybe I'm sure the measurements I picked were like, this is the size you're knitting, pick a size with the amount of ease you want, and not like this is your size and then the ease is built in. I'm sure I have that right. In fact, I think the pattern's just, no, the pattern's not right there anymore. Did I put it in the bag? That would have been clever. Nope, didn't do that either. Well, as long as she's happy, it's fine. Next up, I have a hat. This one is I finished a muscle burr, cast on a muscle burr by Isolde Teague, and this is Malabrigo, I think Rios, the DK. And this one's a really pretty blues and greens and purples that my mom picked up and someone was giving it away and brought me 2 skeins of Malabrigo Rios, but they didn't have the tags on them. So I'm assuming that's what this is. I mean, it is a DK and that seems like what it is. I have really cute stitch markers. This one is supposed to look like Libby. And that one is to look like our ginger kitty, Oliver. And then I do have like a tuxedo-y one, a black cat with white patches. He's gray, but he's a very dark gray. But that's not on this project because this was a project for my oldest to work on. She indicated she wanted to learn to knit. She wants to steal my yarn and do pretty things with it. So she picked this yarn and I cast it on and got past the increases and then gave it to her and I'm like, this is what you do. And she did a couple rounds and I said, do you want the knitting fairies like to work on it at night after you go to bed? And she said, no, absolutely not. No knitting fairies. And then didn't touch it for a month and then came to me a few days ago and said, actually, I do want you to knit it for me. So she was doing fairly well with the hand motion, but she found it really boring. So we can try knitting again the next time she feels like it. I think she mostly got tired of every time she tried to steal some of my knitwear. She'd be like, oh, that's so pretty. Can I have it? I'm like, no, that's mine. Go and work on your own knitting. I think she got tired of me telling her to go work on her own knitting. And then I have 2 socks. And this one is from Woolly Goodness Yarn. And this was a sock set. So it is a pumpkin spice colorway from a couple years ago. Very sparkly. It's a green mini. And then this tonal pumpkin-y color. It's not the bright. It's more this. Not that. This. So I'm just doing one, it's a 50 gram mini and a 50 gram main and a 20 gram mini. So I'm just doing, I did a rib cuff and then I'm knitting and knitting and knitting and knitting and knitting. That's what I did last night when my youngest was at cheer practice. I have a very deflated ball of yarn, and then when I run out of yarn I'll do another cuff, fold it in half, cut it, add toes, put heels in at the appropriate spot. I will have 2 pumpkin spice socks. And I have another pair of socks that I haven't worked on a whole bunch, but is an ongoing project. I tend to tuck my socks up into themselves while I'm knitting on them. This is the smaller one. And it looks really skinny because it is a ribbed, it's a ribbed foot, and then a fisherman's rib, a half fisherman's rib for the leg. And I've done a bit more on this one. I have 2 balls of the Regia, Arne, and Carlos. And the pattern is the Nest Socks by Katie Herod, who I believe is Songbird Knits or Songbird Designs. And I'm doing, this is not part of the pattern, but I'm doing increases up the back because I'm trying to just use the whole ball of yarn and just have some really thick, chunky, cozy socks that go high up my legs and keep me really, really warm. The pattern is written for fingering and DK, toe up, or cuff down. And I would absolutely knit it again in like a fingering or a plainer DK and do it just the way the pattern is meant to be, which gives you kind of the 80s slouchy sock, like leg warmers falling down your legs kind of look. But these ones are supposed to be knee socks, so they'll still be slouchy. I think they basically go up to my knee now, like that's the heel. So yeah, I'm just doing increases slightly whenever, and then this one I'm trying to match the increases to the other one. I cast these on, I think back in February. I haven't worked on them much over the summer. Oops, sorry. But I would like to make some progress on these because it's starting to get cold. Like I said, it feels like -2 out there with the Arctic wind. Yeah, cozy socks. And that's oh, I have one other thing I've been working on. I was going to say it's kind of everything I've been up to lately. Sit in that bag. When I finish the pumpkin spice socks, these will be my main sock. And I'm almost done with the Christmas jumper. And then I'll go back to the tulip one. So that'll be almost done. And I have one more bag, which is the start of Stephen West's MCAL. If you're doing it and you're trying to avoid spoilers, I have a tiny bit of Clue 1 done. So if you look away, I will hold it up and then I will say when you can look back. Look away. This is the very start of Clue 1. And these are my colors, which is more the Yarnsmith's yarn, the Yarnsmith's Merino sock yarn in pale gray and this dark teal. So yeah, I need to do a bunch more of this. I think I do 3 of these, and then there's 4 or 5 of a different thing. And if you were avoiding spoilers, you can look back. So yeah, that's everything I've been working on. As I said, I haven't finished anything and just kind of been really poorly, a lot of naps. If you watched the last episode, I said I'm being assessed for anemia. Apparently I'm very, 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 very anemic. I think maybe I'm starting to feel better, but it could just be that I didn't have a cold yesterday. Today my throat is feeling increasingly sore. So we haven't really done much. As of Friday, they're on a 2-week break and Grandma, my mother, is coming to visit, so I need to tidy all this up so she can sleep in this room. That's kind of all I can think to say. Autumn is autumning very hard right now, and I'm starting to feel poorly again. There's a big surprise. Okay, I'm gonna call this an episode. I think it's only about half an hour, and hopefully next time I talk to you, I will have finished objects and it won't be too long. 2 things, which seems like a really nice combination. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, if you give me a thumbs up, that makes me very happy. If you subscribe, that makes me very happy. And if you could tell me what you're working on in this, or what you're reading, or what kind of like really Halloween-y things are you getting into? I've got a bat that I knit many years ago from Fuzzy Mitten, and I love him. It's the best bat. Let me know what kind of Halloween-y things, if you're doing any, you're up to. Thank you very much for watching. Bye. Hello and welcome to Jennifer Knatters. I am Jennifer and this is my knitting and nattering video podcast where I blather on about all the things I've been up to recently. And Milo snores gently in the background.